in the US in the afternoon, say the Middle East and Europe. And I mean, it's like different. It's a, anyway, yeah, it's a personal thing.
Here it's 4 p.m. Yeah, I know it's like the difference between India, like maybe it's 7:30 now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and here like it's 4, like, so I can see like the huge difference. I can imagine if someone is in America, like it would be.
Yeah. So South America will start waking up now. The US will start waking up now. So just that's how it is. But anyway, Mourad, thank you very much for being part of the conference.
Thank you so much.
Very nice to have you. You've obviously picked up an interesting topic. Let's put it up and this is what we're doing. But Mourad, you are going to be put on the spot. You are going to talk about the conference, but time for a database of mediations is what Mourad is doing. So Mourad, about the conference, what you think about it, what's been happening, what sessions you watched, anything, please.
I think it's really an interesting event, and I think Mediator Vikram like did a great job to contact many people from different fields. Like he asked mediators and lawyers and researchers to join this international conference to promote mediation. And it's a lengthy conference, by the way. Like it started from 18 May till 30 of June, which needs too much effort. And we were discussing with Vikram about this. It takes too much of his energy. And I think we need all to appreciate the effort that he is making now. So.
And he loves, and I was saying I love it. It's like being addicted to it. So Mourad, what's going to happen is you are going to tell us about yourself, take us into the topic. Whenever you want me to come in, I'll definitely come in, but it's your show, please.
Thank you so much, Vikram, at first for inviting me. It's a good thing, like to find experts in mediation who give the floor to young researchers. So by this, I would just start with an introduction of myself. So I'm a student in law. I'm a PhD student at the University of Debrecen in Hungary. Before this, I probably in mediation. So before this, I was studying law in Tunisia. I got my license degree in private law. It's equivalent to bachelor degree. After it, I started another master degree in Tunisia in private law. I specialized in private international law. My thesis was about the public order between religion and law, the international public order. So it's oriented more to the private international law. After this, I started another master in law in European and international business law in Hungary, in the same university I'm studying in now. And I got my LLM from this university. And the idea of making research in mediation started from this university. And now I'm studying more about mediation in the commercial field, international business transactions, and mediation in the field, the development, the regulatory trend in mediation here. So this is a small introduction of me, and yeah.
But Mourad, let me tell you, wisdom knows no age. So and for me, mediation, I've been saying that aspect of the mediator mindset, that's all that matters. And age can never be a factor, definitely. And when you started, when you had that mediation, I mean, you have the mindset when you used it, what you were doing, only you would know. And then when you look back and you say, oh, I was doing this all my life. This was what was me. Shireen is here. Shireen, you want to say hi to Mourad, and then you want to.
Shireen.
Shireen is in Bangladesh. Shireen walks. Yesterday, she came into the session and then she disappeared. She came in and disappeared.
Hi, Shireen. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Mourad.
Shireen, you can't go invisible
Vikram,
for us.
I think the sound is repeating.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think the time is the sound is repeating. I don't know.
From my end? Is it from my end? My end or Shireen's end? After Shireen came in?
I think both of our sounds is repeating. No, it's not Shireen's sound.
Oh, what has happened? Maybe it's YouTube playing. Do you think YouTube is playing on your computer?
I think I will check it.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. YouTube is playing on your computer, so you're listening to us
from
there.
It's my fault. It's my fault. I'm so sorry. Now it's okay. It's perfect.
Yeah. So I was just saying, Shireen came in yesterday and she disappeared. So she's like that. She comes in and zap out. So Mourad is going to take us through the topic first, and then Shireen will get you in later. Yes, Mourad, please.
So I would just share my screen with you now.
Yep.
I don't know if you can see it now.
It's just coming up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the topic, as you can see, it's time for a database of mediations. The idea for this topic, it came from a comparison between mediation and litigation, even if some people might find it bizarre or a little bit different in approach, because mediation, we know all, it's totally different than the logic that governs litigation. So as a researcher, I always try to, when I study law, I always try to see how the law in action is, how this legal rule is applied in courts, or how it is interpreted by judges, to understand more the rule. I try to understand mediation with the same logic. So I went to Google and I said, Mourad, I know there is a confidentiality principle and it's a little bit doubtful to find something there, but I said, let's just try to write mediation cases. If you can find something, examples of mediation. Unfortunately, I can't find nothing, just some stories which are not structured. There are some exceptions, I will mention them later, but I think they still did not reach the level of structured data that might be studied from a scholar or someone who is interested to know more about the process or an accurate information. So as I mentioned, case law in English or jurisprudence in French refer to the number of cases that might help us to understand more of the law. Mediation was heavily criticized because some scholars considered it as a threat to litigation, as when we go to mediation, mediation does not necessarily go to the application of legal rights or duties. Mediation, in most of the cases, it tackles the interests of parties and to reach an agreement based on this. However, this does not mean that mediation does not have techniques or solutions, issues during the process, or outcomes that might be shared and communicated to scholars in order to benefit from those information, in order to understand more the process and have an idea about how mediation is functioning, exactly the same way as decisions and judgments give us an idea about how courts work. But we know also that the judgments and court decisions, they have this structure. They have a well-organized structure of facts, legal basis, and there is legal reasoning, and there is the outcome at the end. So we know all that the legal decision takes a specific form. I believe arbitration also is the same. So, but when it comes to mediation, mediation is a process, and in many times it has many different approaches. Many people explain this by the flexibility of mediation and the nature of mediation as not a purely legal process. Mediation started as a social process and increasingly being regulated in the last 2 decades. For this reason, I started to think, what if we create something that might be similar to judgment, and it might be considered as a mediation case? I've made a research regarding this issue to see whether I can find something or a previous initiative to build on it. And because the learning process, I believe it's a construction based on previous contributions from scholars or institutions. I found the Mediator Experience series, which is started by Mediator Vikram. It could be interesting also, as I found it on many platforms like Apple Podcast, and it gives the way for mediators to share some of their experiences. There is a good number of cases and experiences. However, this initiative, I believe, it took only a limited period of time, and it's not something that it is guaranteed to continue. Other international institutions, such as the International Mediation Institute, started a system to review mediators, which is called the feedback digest, which is connected to the profile of the certified mediators in the website of the International Mediation Institute. And there is a third-party reviewer, and there is a form to fill by the parties in conflict. Those parties will give ideas and their level of satisfaction with the experience they had with this mediator in order to communicate this form, which is prepared by the IMI, I believe, and it will be given to the mediator, and the mediator, after getting the consent of parties, of course, and there are some recommendations, you can find them in the International Mediation Institute, about the way how he can convince parties to give their feedback and then to communicate this form to the reviewer, who will include this summary in a feedback digest that might give an idea about this mediator for others who want to get the services of this mediator. There is one more initiative which were launched by the World International Intellectual Property Organization. It gives certain examples of mediations that were conducted under the mediation rules of WIPO. So there are some cases of intellectual property of supply disputes. However, I noticed that it's a good initiative, as I believe it's the first initiative to give concrete examples of mediations. However, let's say the quantity of information included in this platform is very limited. So it's only a summary about the dispute, what's the nature of the dispute, and what's the solution. Is there like a settlement or not, and under which rules it were settled. And I believe it's a good thing as a start. However, we need more structured knowledge when it comes to understanding more mediation. What is the proposal simply? We need a platform or a database where we can share structured knowledge related to real mediation cases. So we provide scholars and mediators, especially maybe young mediators. I don't mean in the age, but maybe young in the experience or in the field, because many people are interested in this process and want to start a career there. To give them an idea to see how this process is functioning in real life. In many times, mediation in action is communicated through stories by mediators with no verification process. I've never conducted a mediation, let's say, a mediation in my life. I'm not talking about, let's say, a developed level of mediation, not a simple mediation like even in my family, but I will speak about a mediation, professional level. I've never conducted a mediation, but I can just go and tell a story that I conducted the mediation, and some people might be convinced with this, but in reality, there is no check on the on how genuine and how authentic is this information. As mediation is not litigation, as I mentioned earlier, and not subject to a specific written and structured form like judgments, as I mentioned that like judgments, they have this form of facts, legal basis, reasoning, and outcome. Mediation is not governed by the same logic. We need an agreement at first. We need to have an agreement on a unified document that will be uploaded to this database, because if we are saying we upload mediation cases to this database, it makes no sense. Mediation might be an agreement to mediate, might be the process of mediation, might be the settlement agreement, might be the enforcement mechanisms to ensure that the obligations are performed after mediation. That's why we need a unified document. We might call it maybe the not judgment, let's say the outcome of mediation. This document, we need to agree on what it contains in a way that gives an idea about the mediation case in question. So with this document, we will have an idea about the nature of the dispute. I believe the IMI initiative mentioned the nature of the dispute. However, we need also to understand some remarks on the possible difficulties during the mediation process, whether one of the parties raised some issues of legal maybe and of non-legal nature. We might also mention them to understand in this type of disputes what kind of problems and issues that might arise, and it is good for mediators and for scholars to consider when studying mediation in a certain field. One of the other points that might be mentioned in this document is the techniques used. We need to know in a certain type of disputes what techniques are more valuable. With concrete examples, we have this example. For example, we have this case of mediation. The mediator used this technique, the parties raised these issues, and at the end we reached a settlement, or So we need to know the techniques used and what techniques are considered to be with the best outcome for mediation. The outcome reached might also be mentioned. One might say, like, the outcome should stay confidential, and there is the principle of confidentiality, and it's not in the interest of parties. However, we can just describe the outcome. For example, if we have, let's say, a commercial dispute, we might say that in this case there is this dispute, and the outcome was an obligation to pay a sum of money, or to make maybe an apology, or to do something, or to not do something. This outcome also might be mentioned in this document. Any other information that could help other scholars and practitioners to understand more the process might be mentioned here. Expert might discuss more this form, because I believe it's only some thoughts in my mind, and they need to be refined, and they need more efforts to get the input and study more what should be contained in this document. Mediators are probably the most qualified to prepare this document, because mediators, they are the ones who knows most of the details about the case. Mediators, they must get the consent of parties, because mediation is governed by confidentiality. However, I just ask myself, because in many people, they always insist on confidentiality. But did we ask ourselves, like, is confidentiality always like a necessary for parties? I believe in some cases it might not be something mandatory for parties. Parties, maybe they might consider that all of the shared informations or communication during their mediations is something they are ready to make it available for public. However, to avoid any issue or dispute, mediator must get the consent of parties to make those informations available. This is only one part of this maybe possible or potential platform. We need to study the need for it. As maybe I mentioned some points, but I can just repeat them or add maybe some other points. Like, it might help scholars and young mediators to have ideas about concrete examples of the process. So mediation is not only in theory and in books and in articles and in conferences. We need to know how this process is working. What are the issues that you might face in the process? We can imagine a number of cases of mediation. In this platform, for example, we have this document is connected to case number 2. And when we are preparing, let's say, a legal article or a conversation about mediation in general, we have a reference. We can just go to the platform of mediation and check case number 1000 maybe. And then you can have an idea about the concrete idea about potential problems. Examples are not frequently and sufficiently organized in scientific articles or conferences. So if we are in a conference, no one is obliging you to how I can say it, to express your ideas in a specific way. You will just speak about mediation. You will speak your experience with no limitations and maybe no methodology. You will just say anything you want, and this might be seen from two sides. One side is good as it is flexible and you can express your ideas freely. And the other side, it will make it complex and difficult for people who want to systemize the knowledge and understand in a more methodological way the process of mediation. It might serve as a safeguard to control the quality of mediation. In recent years, like I've seen many conferences, they are talking about the topic of the quality of mediation. It's an interesting topic, and if we are not having access to concrete examples of mediation cases, this might make it difficult for us to assess the quality of mediation. It will be difficult for us to have concrete examples about how mediation is conducted. Mediation now is overprotected by confidentiality. The access to examples, whenever you ask a mediator, he will say, no, it's confidentiality, I can't give you more details. Maybe it's their right. However, we need maybe to reconsider this and think again about some possible, I'm not saying exceptions, but maybe open doors to promote more this process and make it more open for assessment and evaluation. It might be used to provide parties with examples of real cases, so they know the process and what to expect. Also, parties, in many times, I was talking to some friends, and when I mention mediation, they say, meditation, right? No, it's totally another topic. So they have this confusion of mediation, and it was mentioned in many reports and articles. I can mention DiPaolo articles related to the mediation in the European Union. There is a huge problem of lack of awareness when it comes to mediation. People doesn't know enough ideas about mediation. And we need to familiarize people with the process, with how it works in action. Mediation should not be considered that something in rooms with limited access. People do not have an idea how it works really. That's why maybe it's one of the reasons why people fear mediation. It could fill this gap between theoretical works on mediation and mediation in action. There is an article which was written, it's titled International Commercial Mediation, written by Professor Stacy Strong in 2016, I believe. And it was about, it's about an empirical study on the status of international commercial mediation. And it mentioned the point that there might be a gap between mediation, for example, between the assumption that we have about mediation in the domestic level and in the international level. So at the same, we might have also a gap between what we read about mediation, what we hear about mediation, and mediation in action, what's happening in real life when it comes to mediation. We have access to judgments and we can assess and understand how works court, but when it comes to mediation, it's a problem. We need to think about at least guaranteeing a minimum level of access. Possible issues. I mentioned the confidentiality as one of the fundamental principles of mediation, and it must be protected. I mentioned also that in some cases, parties might have no problem with confidentiality and they are okay to share their mediation outside. So it's not the case. Identity of parties as a solution, for example, it might be hidden and their consent also must be protected. The example of the WIPO section in their website, they make the identity of the parties hidden, and also the AMI feedback digest insist on protecting the identity of parties. I think what we need as maybe scholars or mediators or practitioners in general, or even lawmakers, we need the we don't need the identity of parties. I can just refer to a case by saying like company A, company B, or company A, organization C. In this way, we can have an idea about the, let's say, a general idea about the nature of parties without delving into the problem of confidentiality and maybe harming the reputation of some parties or businesses. The document content, it might raise another issue, which is the fake stories. So if we open such a platform, for example, a free access platform, everyone might come with a story and said, yeah, I conducted 2 mediations, 3 mediations, and there is no verification process. This might be a problem. So we need a trusted third party, as same as what exists in the IMI feedback system. We need to have a trusted third party to check and verify whether let's say the mediator, the document provided by the mediator to be uploaded on the database is genuine or not, is authentic or not. Does this mediation happen in real life, or it's just a fake story invented by this mediator? To make the quality of the knowledge guaranteed. The confidentiality principle might also make mediators reluctant to share information. And it's one of the issues that we might also discuss and look for more solutions to protect it and to, let's say, to fix it. Final remarks, I can say that this idea needs more efforts to refine and to enhance it and to make it more achievable. And the door is open to all of the mediators and scholars and maybe lawyers who want to think about a feasible idea, let's say, plan or idea to make it possible. This database accessibility at first may be restricted, and later it might be expanded if it reaches like a success. In order to implement a project like this, the involvement of international institutions and providers may be crucial, because they have enough experience with the process. They have similar maybe projects, and we might benefit from their projects in order to make a new one. We might think about a regulatory exception to the principle of confidentiality. In many times, there are some interests where the law makes some exceptions to a principle or a legal rule just to give, let's say, another value or principle, a balance with the previous one. So we should make a balance. So yes, we are promoting the flexibility of mediation, but at the same time, we need to have ideas about concrete examples of mediation. We need to control the process. We need to have concrete examples of how it is happening. Scholars and practitioners would be able to learn a lot from each other, as they will have access to examples of mediation. AI and the use of technology, it's also one debatable issue here, as we know all that AI and the use of technology was in many times linked to the level of data we have in order to use it so we can predict what future outcomes or future issues might arise in a certain, for example, in a certain situation. So we have AI and technology needs a number of data available in order to use to make those algorithms work and predict possible maybe outcomes or possible issues that the mediator might avoid from the beginning. This is available, for example, when it comes to judgments. Judgments now in most of the countries in the world, they are available for everyone just with a simple click. They can just go to the internet, type let's say the Supreme Court, and have access to all the judgment. And they might maybe incorporate those judgments in one of the applications. And I think already it happened in the US. And those judgments, those AI tools, they might help judges to predict. I believe the process of mediation, as I heard in one of the conference, is strongly related to emotions. That's why I believe the role of AI would be more in assisting the mediator and not to replace him. So maybe we are here considering the maybe one of the type of intelligence, which is the assisted intelligence and not the automated one. Yeah, this is my small proposal maybe. And thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mourad. That's really interesting. Now, only there are lots of questions which have come out of it, but I will go to the last line of your slide before the thank you. That for me is the most important part, the artificial intelligence part of it. There was a session we had on artificial intelligence, and Shireen was also part of that. And what we did was we did a real kind of situation. There was a problem created right there, and a very simple one. That Shireen and Mohammed were there. So, okay, Mohammed had to provide some books to Shireen, and he didn't do it. And we went through that. Very simple. But in terms of access for people to some is okay, let's call it a person for a moment. Let's call it a person whom they can go to, immediate, not having to move anywhere, not having to engage anyone, just go to that machine and ask that machine that this is the dispute, what should we do? And the output that it gives, at least a layer is available. So I'm looking at that is very important. The second part is that I keep saying that people are trying to make mediators in 40-hour factories. I am better off with artificial intelligence doing it because it has access to much more. And what you are saying in relation to the database, it will have access to even much more because it might have access to theory. And here, for me, I'll tell you how I look at it. The advantages is one, the solutions that of course came out at the end, but what all was considered. Because it's not about look how the process is conducted. Definitely to either you what I mean, I was talking about it in some sessions also. Either you have cameras in the process and let the machine learn about every aspect of what was happening, and which can obviously on online mediation can be even more easy. It can be available that kept. So are you going to that extent of actually letting it be a mediator to a different level? So that is also an option available. But what is the real purpose of doing this database? From a researcher perspective, I see a lot of students and everyone wanting to in some way understand, oh, what is this mediation? They think it's some technical thing happening. And when you also said, okay, informally it's been happening, this formalized system, there is no concept of a formalized system. We are just trying to create a formalized system where there is nothing. It's the same process. These are people, you're dealing with people. The issues might become complex. There might be a few millions of dollars or $1 billion at stake, or it could be something very, very simple in terms of value. But these are people, and there are, of course, like you said, emotions or relationships and a lot of all those factors happening. So all those aspects will, how to handle that is going to be very individual, because with almost 8 billion people on this planet, we think everyone is unique. We should feel that we are all unique. So if it's a situation where two unique people come in, I'm just saying a two people situation, it's a dispute which is absolutely unique and it is between them. That this whole process by itself is something which is unique, and the mediator comes in who's unique, we would think. So now this is by itself a unique situation. So I'm not saying that that situation is going to be duplicated. So how that aspect of each individual has to be handled and what is the thought process of each individual, those are specifics which, to cater to it, I don't know if we can cater to it, or should we cater to it or not. I don't want to even get into that. But for me, I think the most important part is that if we can, for just the solutions that came out, the creative solutions that was generated by the chat GPT in that session, similar, there'll be more complex things which will be generated. And I think that will really help. So I think that part of it really is something we should look at. And it's not something that, or whom I would call mediators who bring the human touch. They should not become at all insecure by that. The people with the human touch will be required. And up till the point of time that we can create in humanity these large number of people who can give the human touch, I think machines can do a good job and maybe do a better job. So what do we need to put into that machine? I would look at it from that perspective. So Shireen, of course, will give her thoughts on it. But from your perspective, Mourad, if you as a researcher was looking for something, what would that be? And you as a mediator, what would you want to know? What would you, just give me in simple terms what you would want information.
Okay, Vikram. Probably I would start as a researcher, and if I want to see the potential of AI in assisting mediation, I would just start maybe with making a classification of the cases of mediation, because I believe that there is a difference between each type of, you were just mentioning the difference between each individual. And I believe there is a larger category of the difference between the nature of disputes. I believe the issues in commercial disputes, for instance, they are not that charged with emotions as as family disputes. So we need first, if we want to see the impact of AI, to make a classification. I believe those fields which are more charged with emotions will be more difficult for AI to assist. It might maybe help in a certain level, but I believe the best of the AI will be more possible in the fields which are given less place to emotions. We have some examples. I believe there is an ODR system based on AI, which was launched by some US professionals in the US in eBay platform to solve disputes between consumers and traders in purchases online. So, and it was really successful. And there are many articles in this field to study the success of the role of AI in proposing some solutions. I believe it's an automated AI with a minimum intervention from human, and it was a successful project. I believe this was there because the problem in those transactions, it was not the emotions. It was something related maybe to a payment, to a defected product, to a purchase, to a service. However, when it comes to maybe to family disputes, to certain kind of, let's say, local or neighbors disputes, it's going to be more difficult and challenging for the AI to extract those feelings and know how to deal with them from the parties.
Mourad, you're a theoretical person. You're talking from the student perspective. I am saying go to ChatGPT, pick up some neighbor dispute, okay? Anything. Ask someone, actual one. Go to ChatGPT, just tell ChatGPT that you are the mediator between so and so and so and so, and you see how it goes. I'll show it to you. I'll give you the real life example right here. We'll do it right here. But what we have, yeah, right here we'll do it. Just think of a dispute, okay? Already start putting in your mind what that dispute is going to be. We're going to do that right now. But first of all, it is just Shireen, just 2 minutes. So Shireen wants to come in. The important thing is, what is mediation by itself? Because we do talk about mediation in this very, I mean, just the word, we think people understand the same thing. It's the blind man and the elephant situation. So everyone by itself looks at mediation differently. When you said emotion part of it from the people in dispute is one thing. From the mediator perspective also, whether emotions and handling emotions is part of the way they look at mediation or not, we don't know. So look, everyone has so different in the way what they do, because it's a closed space, it's their space. The people in dispute have no idea what mediation is. They're going in that this person is going to assist us in resolving our dispute. That's how much they know. We might in the mediation world talk about all the technical aspects of it, all these models and everything. The people in dispute have no idea about all that. They walk in thinking that this person is going to resolve in whatever way, assist us. And that person does it in their own way. I mean, there was one symposium I did on heart, soul, spirituality. And there was Greg from Australia. He said, mediation is the mediator. That is it. So it's an individual based situation. So
that's
what
true.
is
it's his task.
It is, it's like mediation is the mediator in whatever sense. So it's going to be very individual in the way it is as a process, how it's being done. It'll be very individual. I don't want to change that. I don't want Mourad to become Shireen, because that's the end of the world then we are going into those countries where they want to duplicate people. We don't want to do that. We want Mourad to be Mourad, and all that you are creating in the database should not change that. Mourad should not be looking at someone the way someone else does it and think that I am going to learn from it. That's why I keep saying about the mediator mindset aspect of it. You know best the person that you are and how and naturally it comes to you when you are interacting with people. That I don't want to change, because the moment you start thinking in this much also, okay, Shireen smiles like that when she talks to people. I'm going to attempt to smile like that. You won't be able to do it for the rest of your life, but you will think I'm not good enough a mediator because I can't smile like Shireen. So we will not want to change that. So whatever you think in terms of database, don't let that affect people in the sense that they start looking at it. This is the way I have to do it. So that part of it, in any case, in your database, how they're handling the process is not coming up. So that, are you interested in that, the way they're handling the process or not?
I like it.
You want that. You want that. You want to let. Look, I'm telling you, this is the biggest problem I'm seeing in the younger lot who wants to go for. They think they're going to be made mediators in these factories, and they go there. I've seen some who have the natural aspect of that mediator mindset, and they come out. They just feel. I mean, they just feel that, oh, they don't have it in them. I mean, they lose their confidence in themselves itself because one technical box is being put out for them. This is what you have to do, these are the steps, this, that. Suddenly the natural part of it suddenly goes. You cannot do this to mediation, because it is a process of person to person interaction. You can't put it into steps. Today when you walked in, the first time we were meeting, hi Laura.
Hi Laura.
Look, you can also be part of the discussion. Mourad has picked up a very interesting topic about, is this time for a mediation database? So he'll be talking about that. So for me, from my perspective, that natural part of it. So I don't think that aspect should be recorded anywhere. What happened, who did that, what he said. Because for that, I'm telling you, even if you want to do it, then you go full into it and you, like I said, record every aspect of it. And then you have millions of these things, and might be good, might not be good. We don't know. But then let the machine do it. Let machine take over. Right now, it's just studying those millions of cases and then just get the people out of the picture. Because machines can do a much better job. I'm telling you, seriously, they can. And because they've got so much that they'll record more than what you observe. They'll observe a lot more from that. So good things can come out of that. But mediation by itself, what it is, how the people look at it, is going to be very different. So it has to be.
Yeah. I totally agree, Vikram. I believe that the role of mediator and this, let's say, emotional and personal element of mediation will be always there. And it's like, if we look at the history of mediation, we will see this element like through history, and it continues like till our day. However, maybe the role, as I mentioned, of technology, maybe it will be a simple assistance, as we are now talking about online mediation.
Oh, yes, we have to do that. Yes, I do. We shouldn't forget that part, because Shireen has to come in. Shireen, you want to make your comment? I want to take him, because we don't have too much time. I want to take him through that real life example, so he sees how much is available. So, but yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to say, tell Mourad that yes, mediations are recorded. You know, the World Bank records all of their mediations, the ones between the community and the investor. So all that, for the moment, it is available. Not a lot of it, not the smaller commercial mediation cases that are taking place, but the larger ones are recorded. So there is a database. Whether it is logged onto the system or not, I'm not aware of that. But I did some work, or I did a seminar with them, and they presented us with the case studies. So they've got the case studies.
Actually, Shireen, like, I have no idea about it. I will check it anyway. But I believe that so it's as I understand from you, it's like a database of videos, right?
A database of
videos.
No, not videos. Actual written case studies, and the amount of time that it took to resolve it, because there have wherever you have somebody building a dam or a bridge, it takes a mediation is done with the community because their livelihood is affected. So it takes a number of years, but it is recorded.
Yeah, that's
what we do. What we do is, this is, you just started a conversation. The point is, you started a conversation. We are going to have this conversation. We'll find, like Shireen said, this. We will pick up the database from them. For me, I think one more important aspect is why I want to take you through that is From that, we'll get to know what aspect you need more information on. So let's do that. And but Laura, you can unmute and say hi to us. It'll be nice.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Good evening, late evening for me.
Good evening.
Afternoon for Mourad. Evening, a little more later evening for Shireen. That's how it is. So we are going for general greetings now. Just hello. Hello is good enough. Because I'll tell you what happens, Laura, and that is because when you say good morning, you are looking at life only from your perspective, which is not a nice thing. So, and you then have to look at everyone else's perspective. So general greeting, it could be hello, ciao, hola, all acceptable. Namaste. Okay, so Mourad, we are going, you just think of that example and let's just go for it because this will give us an idea of what you need more information on. Okay. So what do you say? You are the mediator between. Now Shireen has already had a dispute. She keeps having dispute. Yeah, ChatGPT will think that Shireen always keeps coming. Okay, but I won't say Shireen. Okay, I will say S. Shir, because I have to type it every time. Yes, you are a mediator between Mourad and Shireen. Well, I'll have to write it only. Okay, so this is what I tell ChatGPT. So you see what it says. Okay, so now it wants the background. So give me background, Mourad. What is the background?
The background of the dispute or my background?
No, not your background. No, we want the dispute. The human part of it we'll get into later. Who you are.
Okay. Okay, let's say a family dispute, maybe.
Look, whatever it has, then it has to have. You'll have to put in all the facts that because being the aspect of it, keep it simple for this experiment because I'm just going to pick out from there what are those things that you need and what are things that should be recorded to make it a better process. So, what would you want to say? Whatever your wish.
Okay.
You go commercial. Let's go commercial this time. Let's go commercial.
Okay. I need compensation because I received. Let's say non-conform product.
Received a product which wasn't the one that was ordered. What was the product?
Let's say smartphone.
Ordered. Okay. I have to type it fast because we received a mobile phone. Was the one that was ordered, or wasn't ordered? Was the quality was bad? Well, let's see.
It's fine.
But
just
whatever, doesn't matter. Come on, ChatGPT is also thinking what is happening in Mourad. Mobile phones don't have problems these days. It starts thinking. Now I don't know what kind of a database is it accessing. That's the interesting part. Okay, remember the question. What was the model? You have to tell us. Interesting. Find it interesting?
That's interesting.
Find it even more interesting when you get into more complicated things. It'll tell you. I'm telling you that for me, this is a better mediator than the ones made in 40-hour factories. I'm telling you that. Okay, so tell us, what was the exact model that you ordered?
Let's say I ordered, for example, Xiaomi.
What's the spelling? It goes like this?
Yes, M-I.
Model. What was the model? X by Z. Let's say X by Z.
Okay, any more.
X by Z. And received what?
Samsung. Which I want this kind of mistakes, but let's go.
Samsung ABC model. Okay.
Uh-huh.
That's the number one. Next, asking you for various questions.
What mobile
How
phone?
did you discover when I opened the package?
Yeah, it seems a good answer.
Oh, that's if it asks certain questions, we have to answer it. Opened the package because he might pick up something from it. He realized it was a wrong one. But you don't have too much time here. But I want to take you through this only because you are researching this and you will get a better idea. Okay, then what else?
Next question is,
Can we contact the seller?
let's say yes, and he didn't
What
reply.
did I have to say? Mourad wrote to Shireen.
They sell. Shireen, yep.
Shireen about the then what kind of compensation are you looking at, or what are you looking at? What do you want?
Maybe money.
Mourad wants a refund,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's it.
Exactly.
Okay, let's see what it has to do.
Inform her about the issue raised by Mourad. Clarify the facts. I will confirm. Facilitate communication. Seek a resolution. That's impressive, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, this goes on. You're going to be in that session with Shireen and Mohammed. We actually had the sessions individually. Now, I mean, Chat GPT, I call it Mediator GPT. Okay, unless for a moment, Mediator GPT had a discussion with Mohammed first, then with Shireen, then came out with solutions to it. And then obviously they resolved their issue. They went back happy. They shook hands, they hugged, and everything happened. All the good things happened. So this is how it happens. And then you go on further into it and you'll see that each of those steps that you put out there, you will see an active response. It's not just picking up and just giving it from some theory somewhere. And this, I feel, if this can get enhanced in whatever, then you look at how this you want enhanced, because this process part of it is available to it through lots of content. So there's a lot of books and of course whatever other written material is, that's all available. What is not available, you see, which you really need, because there are certain aspects we don't need. Why do we need to record certain things? Maybe we do, maybe we do not. But what will come out is that you rejecting some aspect. Mourad says, I do not want this, I want to do this. So it's learning from every sentence that we are writing, it's learning something from it. So what do we want Mediator GPT to learn? I would want from that perspective, not from generally you want a database is one thing, so that we can give a machine to 8 billion people on this planet to go to as their first port of call. Just go there, talk to Mediator GPT. Just how was the harm done? You still have your intelligence. So if some output comes from there, you're not blind enough to accept it. So this should be your first option. And it can resolve a lot of things, because we sometimes assume that people think of certain things. They don't think of certain things. And if a person says it might be different from a machine says it, because suddenly you say the machine is smarter than me, kind of situation. Oh, I should maybe do at least this. So those kinds of things will come up. But anything you want to put out there, you reading from this, what is already put out there, you want to give more information? I mean, want any more discussion that you want to have with it? Okay, Mourad wants to talk to you. Suppose let's just do it this way.
Separately, yeah. Private session.
Yeah. I could have said private session, but I've understood private session also. We now have 6 minutes left before Laura's session. He's thinking whether he wants to talk to you, Mourad. But the kind of issue that you've put out there, does he want to talk to you? Why am I saying he? There's no gender concept. Chat GPT.
G wants to talk to you.
Yeah, G. Mediator G. What's a Mediator G? is thinking a little too much about you, Mourad. Maybe you had this issue with a lot of people. He's trying to think that Mourad keeps doing it with his mobile phone.
I'm just trying to.
Okay, so this you are going to do on your own. What you do is, I'll put this off here. We'll go into Laura's session. You have your computer, do this activity
Yeah, I
there.
will try it. Thank you so much,
We
Vikram,
can talk
for
about it
sharing
after
this with me.
Laura's session. We can talk about it after Laura's session, not a problem. Because this is something we can, there needs discussion out there, because there is so much available right now itself. What further do we want to put in it without changing the aspect of an individual aspect of it? We don't want to make it into set boxes. Mourad has a problem with phone. This is what you have to do. If that's what is going to be, that also can be a point. So please do that. So Mourad, that was interesting. Your concept was interesting.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Let's take Laura's view on it. Laura, what do you think of a mediation database?
I think it's fabulous. I like the idea. I think it would be, I mean, if we use it to inform ChatGPT, the idea that somebody could have a non-judgmental, non-human person evaluating, and then even use it to prepare.
Am I saying, and I'm saying, Laura, that is what a lot of people have, because those machines, the humans, as we call them, let's call them humans, who are programmed to be mediators, who are made into mediators in 40-hour factories. I mean, everyone doesn't have the mindset, but they pick up from there, and they actually are going to work like a machine only. They work like a machine. Okay, this is what I have to do. These are the steps, and they respond. There was someone in some session, a young girl, and there was someone was talking about her personal something they put out, and what the response of her was just what a machine would do. I understand what you like. It was just a kind of a recorded thing. You knew it hasn't come from the heart, that okay, when someone says this, I have to respond. There was a session on empathy and mediation, and this person was taking us through how you respond in what situations. I'm saying, if you have to tell a human that, then I think there is issue there. So Mourad, what I actually tell people is, look at it from the perspective of mothers. Now, tomorrow you're going to be looking at how I have to program a mother. No, there's a response that comes naturally. It has to come naturally. So to say that you want a database of reactions of mothers in the world, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's going to be those connections that are going to be made. The human part of it. The human part of it.
Vikram, I have just like to clarify one thing. Maybe we should understand it to not misunderstand the general idea I'm proposing. I'm not proposing like an idea, a database to just share emotions. I'm proposing like a database for sharing a document, a unified document. I'm proposing to create a certain form of a unified document. Shireen just was mentioning the case in the World Bank. I believe it's a recorded video, or maybe a summary of what happened in mediation. However, the problem, I believe, is still there, because it's connected to a certain type of disputes. It's not generalized, and it will not give us idea about mediation in all the fields. It's just limited, I believe, maybe in investment or investor-state disputes. And it's not...
No, this one that she's talking about, what happens is the World Bank funds projects in various countries through someone in that company. That's an organization which takes those funds and implements the project. So because in those projects, what the issue happens, that community gets affected. So they have this panel of mediators which goes there and works with that community to resolve the issues of that community in relation to that particular. It's normally an infrastructure project.
Exactly. But as I mentioned, so still it's limited to a certain type of disputes, and it's not as I understand. I might be wrong. It's not following, let's say, a structured method in sharing knowledge. I make this comparison between judgment and, let's say, this unified document that will give us idea about mediation, to share the knowledge about the mediation cases. I'm not considering to share the emotions, as you mentioned, Vikram, like the mother's feelings, to share them on a database. And I'm just trying to make, for example, some outcomes and techniques and a structured knowledge related to mediation available in most...
That. What I have to, why I have to, I'm trying to jump it because I have to start a session in the next 1 minute.
Yeah, I
We'll
understand.
continue this conversation. I'm saying that we'll continue it after the session. That's not a problem. I understand what you're saying. It's just that I have to do this on time because it's out
Yeah,
there.
Vikram.
Laura as a spectator sitting there. One person also waiting for a session would not be right to make that.
I'm excited to hear like Laura
what she brings in is going to be the emotion part of it. Okay, so thank you very much, Mourad. Really nice talking to you. What you're doing is really interesting. We'll refine it. We'll make it into something interesting. We'll all work with you on this.